Hey guys, you are in Georgetown on the C&O Canal, and we're at one of the locks here in Georgetown. And no, I hit the button too fast while I was typing, so I had to delete that mini broadcast and come back up again. So we're at lock, I don't know what number lock this is, there are dozens of locks. Hey, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is up that way. It is pretty nice then. This is Georgetown. This is the old part of Washington, D.C., the historic districts. This is where the university is, where the nightlife used to be. It's kind of quieted a lot. And this is the C&O Canal, which is a hiking trail that goes on for about 100-some miles, to be honest, the Cumberland in Ohio. So we're gonna hike up the canal for a bit, and then we're gonna cut through Georgetown University, where the kids are back in school, and then we're gonna walk through the woods behind the French embassy and make our way back to my house. Food in Hong Kong is very good. The food here is very bad. I'm very depressed about the food here. You know, they filled up part of it, but this is 31st Street Bridge up here, and it's being repaired. So this part of the canal is actually got a cofferdam set up so they can work on this part of the bridge. Hey, Ames, how you doing? And so this part of the canal is not fully flooded while they try to repair this bridge. I would like to go back to Hong Kong for some noodles. I've been kind of in withdrawal for the last year when it comes to wonton. There are no good fish and chips here. There's no good Hong Kong wonton. There's really not much good anything. There's good Vietnamese food. Actually, the Vietnamese food here is better than Hong Kong, but most of the rest of it is kind of weak. So they're fixing this bridge, and there's not much of the bridge left, to be honest. So we're gonna go around this construction. Back in DC on Friday. Wow. The crabs are okay if you like here. Yeah, Kalki does miss me. My wife likes crabs. I'm not a big crab guy. Too much effort, too little food. Crab cake's gonna be okay though. So we're walking on the C&O Canal for half a dozen blocks. Baltimore, yeah. Well, we have a house out in Maryland, in southern Maryland, where all the crab boats are located. So we usually just get them off the crab boats. If you guys ever watched the movie St. Elmo's Fire, there was a scene where Ali Sheedy was walking, talking about Demi Moore's character. They were walking on the canal right here. If you've ever seen the movie No Way Out with Kevin Costner, Kevin Costner was being chased by two assassins through the streets of Georgetown, and he came running down this canal path and jumped onto the Georgetown subway, which doesn't exist, which is good because when he actually got into the subway, he was in Baltimore subway system because the DC Metro wouldn't let them film any violent scenes in the DC Metro. Because God forbid there's any violence in the DC subway system. True Lies was up here. Arnold Schwarzenegger filmed the bathroom scene where he beat up a guy in the bathroom. That was filmed up here at Georgetown Park Mall. Man with One Red Shoe was filmed here. You know, if I walked this path for a couple hundred miles, I'd end up in Pennsylvania. This path actually goes all the way up to Pennsylvania. Nationals Park is back that way about 3 miles. It's okay. It's just the water's not out, so the canal looks kind of eh. So once they flood it, all this vegetation will go down, and then it'll be more pretty. Georgetown, once upon a time, yeah. This is where John F. Kennedy used to live. Lots of senators and congressmen. Katie Graham, the publisher of the Washington Post, made famous by movies like The Post and All the President's Men. She used to live here in Georgetown. Many of President Clinton's people lived here. Many President Trump's people live here. Pottstown, I'm afraid I don't know where that is. So these are the old paper mills and flour mills and tobacco mills, now turned into condominiums and offices. Georgetown used to be a port in the days of the tobacco ports, and they used to store all the stuff here. So these buildings are actually called the sugar mill, the paper mill, the flour mill. That's the name of all these different places, these buildings. So I must confess I've never actually gone into many of these buildings. It might be scary at night, yeah. It's certainly dark. Yeah, Parker was having fun eating pho the other day. Actually, you know, the funny thing is we went back to that place the next night. So he had it, what was that, Thursday night? And we went back on Friday night because, you know, just never get enough Vietnamese food for the kids. There's a scene from The Exorcist was filmed on that bridge down there. Hey, how's it going, Houston? Have I talked to the teacher in Hong Kong? You mean our old teachers? We're casually in touch with a few of them, Facebook and whatnot. Haven't really reached out to any of them directly. Though I have to decide, I think February is the admissions application deadline for my kids. If we want to send them back to Hong Kong, we have to apply for the schools by February. So, who knows what the next few months will bring. Oh, Jonathan J.K., the English teacher? Yeah, I hear from him on WhatsApp and stuff occasionally. All of the Periscopers in Hong Kong have a dedicated WhatsApp channel. And we chat with each other and give each other tips like, oh, there's a parade going on here if anyone wants to scope it or whatever. Well, we'll see. I think most of the expats we've talked to are going to make decisions in the next 3 to 6 months on their long-term future in Hong Kong, because it depends what happens with the government in the next 3 to 6 months. Hey, welcome Mang Su to Georgetown in Washington DC. We're going to hit the campus. Actually, you know what? We're going to go up the Exorcist Steps. Yeah, I'm going to take you to where they filmed the final scene of the movie The Exorcist, the famous Exorcist Steps. And then I'm going to walk up those, and then I'll throw up, and then we'll continue our walk through Georgetown, because there are a lot of steps. Raven is still around. She's not periscoping very often, but she's doing other things. She's a very busy businesswoman. You can find her on Instagram and other stuff. But she's still alive. So here's a reality TV star coming up here. No, she doesn't do much Periscope anymore. She's too busy, I think. Oh, I'll be here for a minute. For those of you who are big reality TV movie fans, TV shows, Cupcake Cam. Yep, it's Georgetown Cupcake. It's on the Learning Channel, TLC channel. Has had a documentary, a reality-based TV show called Georgetown Cupcake, telling you the history of making lots and lots of cupcakes. So Georgetown Cupcake is a very popular tourist place. There's usually a line out the door on the weekends. In fact, there's a line inside right now. I think if you go to tlc.com/cupcakecam, you can see the webcams in there. Sprinkles are better. Yeah, they're down the street. So if you want to go to the Cupcake Cam, maybe you can see me walk by outside the door. It's a little early for me to have cupcakes. Lots of tourists. My friend from the UK. That's Ying Yang. Ying Yang. She's fine. Ying Yang is very busy. Ying Yang runs an Instagram account called Retro Camera Shop, UK or something like that. Retro Camera Shop UK. That's Ying Ying's business, and she buys and sells classic film cameras. So Ying Ying has a very big Depop store. I think it's one of the biggest camera stores in England. And she is constantly on the prowl for things. She found, in fact, I was looking at her Instagram this weekend, she found a mint condition, beautiful leather, Polaroid Instamatic type camera. One of the ones that pops up with the leather. It was a treasure of a find. So I think she's refurbishing that, and she'll sell that soon on her store. But yeah, you can go check her out. Retro Camera Shop UK, I think is her Instagram. Oh, just Bernie. I haven't chatted with her in a while. Probably about 2 months I haven't talked to her. I will drop, occasionally say hi. So, we are heading to the Exorcist Steps now. Hey Charlotte, welcome to Washington DC. We're on M Street. M is in Mary, just across from the Key Bridge. And dingleberries out in the middle of the road. And just around another block or so, we're going to hit the Exorcist Steps. That's where I've got to like save up my energy. They're really steep. It's called like Retro Camera UK or something like that. Retro Camera Shop UK. I think. I can't remember exactly. It's an Instagram account. It's also on Depop, which is apparently the big app all the kids are using nowadays instead of eBay. But I think it's called Retro Camera Shop UK or something like that. And Ying Ying runs that. And she's constantly on the prowl for some old 35mm cameras. Spring Valley, yeah, that's up to the right. Hey, Liga! Guys, Liga Karlina is here. Liga is a periscoper from Copenhagen. There she is. So if you follow her, you'll get sights and sounds of Copenhagen. She's a cartoonist as well. She actually draws this really funny cartoon, which she puts up on Instagram. And she was drawing last weekend, finally, drawing again, yes. And so she's creating cartoons on her Instagram and showing you around Copenhagen. So I met up with her over the summer when I was in Denmark with my kids. There she is. So yeah, follow Liga. There she is. Just tap on her, on that comment, hit her follow, and you can take a look at Copenhagen, the streets and the canals and the city, and occasionally her cartoons. So, this old building is called the Car Barn. This used to be where the trolley cars were stored. So you can see the doors here used to be like trolley car sized for the doors to come in and out of this place. But just around from the Car Barn is the Exorcist Steps. Oh, there over there is Virginia, by the way. Yeah, so over there is Virginia, and over here, if you haven't seen the movie, turn out all the lights and go get it off Netflix or Amazon. The Exorcist. A film so scary it was banned in England for 30 years. I kid you not. By today's standards, it's incredibly tame. But for the 1970s when it came out, the accent has gone. The 1970s came out, people were scared to death. It was filmed at the top of this staircase. These stairs play a major role in the finale of the movie, and I'm gonna walk up it. Now, I may have to take a pause because it's a hell of a lot of steps. So The Exorcist is the story of a young girl who is possessed by the devil. Priests from Georgetown University come over and perform an ancient rite, an exorcism, to drive away the devil's spirits. One of the priests doesn't actually believe in all this, but he sees things in the process of performing the exorcism that makes him a true believer. The Exorcist, filmed right here in Georgetown on these flipping steps, which are really, really tall and really, really steep. But we're also almost to the top. Whew. I did it. Man, those suck. So, The Exorcist was filmed in that house right there. It's now like the provost house for the university. And these steps had a major role in the movie. I won't give it away, but go see The Exorcist and you'll understand. But if you're gonna rent it, if you've never seen it, rent it at nighttime, turn out the lights, cuddle up with a blanket, and watch it there. This is a plaque about the movie. Okay. So movies that have been filmed here. All the President's Men was filmed here in Georgetown. No Way Out. Deep Impact with horrible movie. Minority Report was filmed here. Dave, a great political movie, Dave. St. Elmo's Fire was actually based on that bar there called The Tombs. Enemy of the State was filmed here. True Lies. The Man with One Red Shoe. And TV shows like 24 and The West Wing. They've all been filmed in Georgetown because this is the historic looking part of the city. So there's the Exorcist house. So if you go see the movie, you're going to see that house. You're also going to see these streets because there's a scene where the mother is walking back from campus along these streets. That's the Tombs. That place has been around like 50 years. Actually, used to be pretty good food. Maybe I'll go there today for lunch. Now, John F. Kennedy, President John F. Kennedy, when he was a senator, lived down here on the right on N Street. N is in Nancy. Hey, how's it going? And in fact, last rites for President Kennedy were said at this church, a Catholic church over here. I don't know what it's called, St. Bart's or something. So John F. Kennedy's last rites were performed in this church and chapel, which is now part of this Catholic prep school. But we're going to go over to the campus, which is up over there. Well, I lived in Washington a long time. I lived in Georgetown a long time. In fact, I ate at the Tombs a lot too. I ate at the Tombs way too much. So this was kind of my neighborhood. I have been to Marvin's. Kennedy would go to Marvin's. Martin's Tavern. Lots of famous people still go to Martin's Tavern. It's down the road here on N Street. I think we're going to cut back through this dorm. We can actually cut through here. Yeah, lots of colorful houses down here. These are actually all student housing. The university has quietly bought up most of the housing here to kind of ameliorate the town gown crisis. Town gown is the controversy that exists between the people that live in a town and the people that wear the academic gowns. Students, i.e. Love that one. So this is actually a dormitory. Students live here. This is their courtyard. Tower of Silence. This is Georgetown University. This is the oldest Catholic university in the United States, dating back to the late 1700s. In fact, big controversy. They discovered that the founding fathers of this university actually owned slaves. And there had been a big hubbub on campus about that lately. Allen Iverson. I don't know where he lived, or Patrick Ewing, or any of those other famous Georgetown basketball players. Georgetown in the 80s and 90s was one of the best college basketball programs in the United States. Fallen on a bit harder times lately, but they were a regular in the Final Four and a national champion once or twice. So that is the main admissions building. We're going to cut back to the back campus. Yes, this is the university. I don't know if she goes to Georgetown or Georgetown Law. I'm not really sure. Georgetown Law is on the other side of town. So all these buildings are part of the university. That's a dormitory over there. My friend actually lived over there. And more buildings. Reading under a tree. That's a big tree. It's about 24 degrees Celsius today. About 75. It's a tad humid though. It is a beautiful place. Hey, Euromaestro's here, guys. Euromaestro is a scoper based in Paris. Shows you scenes from Paris and talks about current affairs. Long time to see. Yeah, back in the United States now, Euro. Having retreated from Hong Kong for a year or two. We're doing good. We're on the campus of Georgetown University, a place I'm sure you're aware of. Georgetown School of Foreign Service is considered one of the best foreign service schools in the country. A large number of American diplomats and diplomats for other countries go to Georgetown School of Foreign Service. It's kind of a temp to perm kind of thing. We're not really sure how long we're going to be here. We can go back to Hong Kong next year if we want, or we could probably stay if we want. A lot of decisions to be made. Actually, the King of Spain went here as a graduate student, or the prince. I think he's now the king now. So in Hong Kong, there's a big migration. When children turn about 13, 14 years old is when they go to boarding school in the UK or boarding school in the United States. So about a third, John Kerry was here, I think. About a third of the people, a third of my son's friends will leave Hong Kong and move to the United States this year. So it's kind of a big decision. Do we stay? Do we go? There are pluses and minuses to everything in life. The big plus here is that my son's school that they go to here is one of the best schools in the United States. It's not a joke. Has one of the best placement rates of any school in the United States for the more elite colleges. And we're pretty happy there. The downside is that while we live in the United States, there's no good food, we have to drive everywhere, and there's no real vibe, no energy like there is in Hong Kong or Bangkok or Tokyo. It's just happier. No, Barron Trump goes to a school in suburban Maryland. He also goes to an Episcopal school, but not ours. It's a tough call, Hong Kong or here. They do have student exchange programs. We did get spoiled. So this is the Georgetown Medical School and hospital back here, which is actually a very top-notch hospital. This is the campus. This is the campus student union. This is where all the students meet for. There's a Chick-fil-A and a Burger King and stuff like that. I'm actually rebuilding the hospital right now, so I have to go around it. We're going to make our way over to the French Embassy, and then we're going to cut our way through the woods back to my house. It's a tough call. See, my kids were happy in Hong Kong, but my son has let's say 5 close friends. 3 of the 5 close friends are leaving Hong Kong. So going back to Hong Kong, where 3/5 of your close friends have left, is not the same as what it was. So we have to kind of put it all in perspective. Plus, of course, it's incredibly expensive in Hong Kong. You know, I was looking at apartments yesterday. They were like bare minimum that we would accept, you know, to live in was 9,000 US a month, 10,000 US a month. That's a lot of money, yeah? So, kind of like, Yeah, we were paying about 9,000 a month when we lived in Hong Kong. And don't forget, things like milk are $14 a gallon. Going out for a burger, fries, and a Coke would be 20 US dollars. That was a 2 or 3 bedroom place. So we had a 1,000 square foot apartment that was technically 3 bedrooms. And it was $9,000 a month. And it was the cheapest on the street. Back surgery here at Georgetown? Oh, wow. Now, my son's best friend, they had 2,400 square feet in a 4 bedroom, but it was $33,000 a month, 33,000 US per month. Some of his classmates lived in places that were upwards of 50 to 60,000 US dollars a month. Make your mod. I don't know how to do that. I have to figure that out. You know, some do, but fewer and fewer expat packages include anything nowadays. You know, my sister, my cousin, she's my niece. My niece is in St. Louis. She is a doctor at Washington University and in their ophthalmology department. So if your eyes never need to get checked, you could run into my niece. She's over at WashU. She graduated from Stanford University on a Saturday. On a Sunday, we helped her move all her stuff. And then on a Monday, she started doing rounds on her internship for 15 US dollars per hour. Yeah, that's what it worked out to be. 15 US dollars per hour. And I was like, great. Go to Stanford Med School. And Stanford Med School is not cheap. Stanford Med School was like $110,000 a year or something like that, $100,000 a year. Go the other way. Oh. We're actually going to go down to the French embassy, and then we're going to go cut through the woods, and we're going to walk through the woods on the way back home. And then we're going to take a nice long shower. The other way is most of Georgetown, the buildings, the houses, and whatnot. But we're going to cut down this way and get into the countryside. A new eye doctor. Well, she's just a first-year intern, so I don't think she's the one you'd want to find yet. She's still doing rounds and whatnot, or maybe she's her second year now. So she's actually quite smart gal. I don't know if she actually does anything individually yet. Being a doctor is a long, arduous process of internships and residencies and all that sort of stuff. It's really quite crazy. I mean, you're in your mid-30s before you ever actually hang out your shingle with your own name on it. Now, my other niece is at Harvard Law School. So she's going to be the lawyer and one's the doctor. I have no idea what the nephew's going to do. When and where are you going to Europe? I will be in Romania in 2 weeks, just for a few days. So zipping in for some business, zipping back out again a couple weeks. Yeah, short business trip. So actually, it's what I'm going to do this afternoon is prepare for that trip because I've got a meeting on Wednesday in advance of that trip. No kids. The kids will stay here. Wife will stay here. The kids, you know, I'm not really sure. My youngest is still young enough to think he wants to be a professional soccer player or something like that. My oldest hasn't really expressed an interest, but I think it's going to be in the finance industry. You know, growing up in Hong Kong, now the electricity isn't really that cheap here. Growing up in Hong Kong, you're surrounded by bankers, surrounded by money and numbers. He likes numbers a lot. He likes science, he likes history, he likes that. So he may go in the finance industry. Actually, it's funny, the kids were having a big fight the other day at breakfast, which is rare. They're usually pretty well behaved. And one of them said to the other, you know what? You might be a billionaire one day, but you're going to be a sad, miserable billionaire, and I'm going to be a happy garbage man. It's like, okay. So these kids are really not pulling any punches when they're fighting each other, you know? The sad, miserable billionaire and the happy garbage man. So we'll see what that comes out. Our kids often use that. Yesterday, we wouldn't allow the youngest to have any Xbox time because he had had too much screen time on Saturday, so he got no screen time on Sunday. And he's like, one day, Mom, one day when you're old, you're going to ask me to get you a bowl of spinach. And I want you to remember this day on that day when you ask me to get a bowl of spinach, because I'm not going to get it for you. And it's going to be because of this day when you didn't give me Xbox. And I'm like, okay, you've been warned, Mom. No Xbox today, no spinach tomorrow. So, he's cute. But then we fed him some dumplings and he was in a better mood and everything was better after that. We're actually watching this Japanese and Chinese TV show lately called Midnight Diner. Yeah, Midnight Diner Tokyo Stories. It's on Netflix now. There's a Japanese version and a Chinese version. I recommend the Japanese version, though. The first 3 episodes of the Chinese version, which you can also watch on YouTube, it has subtitles, are very cute. Midnight Diner is the story of a small Japanese-style noodle shop run by an old wise man who has a regular cast of characters come into this corner noodle joint every night and tell him his problems and go through life and whatnot. And it's kind of a funky movie, you know? A funky TV show. It's actually being made into a Chinese movie that's going to be released next month. We watch it mainly because we like to see all the food that they make. They make all these great ramen dishes, noodles, and whatnot. Good morning, guten morgen, or bonjour, because we are right outside the French Embassy. This is the Embassy of France. It's a big, big embassy. All the big countries have big embassies. This is where I watched the World Cup final. I watched France defeat Croatia in there, in the French Embassy. And we're going to go behind the French Embassy and make our way up. Why is it a French Embassy? Every nation has an embassy. Why is it big? The big nations all have big embassies. They have big intersections here. The German embassy is down the street, and it's very large as well. The British embassy is up by my house. It's even bigger. Oh, why did I watch it there? I thought it would be, I could watch it in a pub, I could watch it at home, or I could watch it surrounded by like 400 crazed Frenchmen. I was like, let's just watch it with 400 crazy Frenchmen. So we watched it at the French Embassy, and it was a lot of fun. They had champagne after the game, and snacks, and it was cool. The French Embassy actually has a very big cultural outreach section. They have a restaurant and a bar inside the embassy. They have a movie theater, and they invite the public to come over and watch the latest French films. So I could go over to the French Embassy pretty much any week I want, have really good French food, or go watch a movie at the French Embassy. So if there's ever a French film I want to see, I do that. I watch a lot of French cop stuff. If I had a girlfriend, I just have a wife. She doesn't speak French. I don't, I actually know more French than I was going to say Euromaestro, who was here earlier. I can bluff my way through ordering a meal and whatnot, and I can pick out words here and there. I can read French. I can read a lot better than I can speak or hear. But if you lay it on a piece of paper, I can usually get through quite a bit of French, but not that well. I occasionally take French learning lessons, and it's like, you know, l'enfant sont riches, you know, the children are rich, you know, stuff like that. Are you going to be coming up on M Street? No, we've kind of missed M Street. We're kind of past it now. We're on what's known as Reservoir Road, which in the alphabetical system, it's about Q or R Street, actually. And we're going to cut into the jungle here on the right in just a moment. French is gay. Well, you know, I posted a video the other day of pretty much every girl's ideal man. He rode a motorcycle, he spoke French, and he rescued kittens. So there's this viral video that went around. This French guy, hey Baltimore, French guy was riding a motorcycle. When he came across a little kitten in the middle of the road, he locked up his brakes, jumped off his motorcycle, and ran back into traffic to rescue this poor little kitten. And I was like, speaks French, rides a motorcycle, likes kittens. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much every girl's perfect guy. All right, now we're in the jungle. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. So this is actually a national park. This is Glover Archibald Trail, part of the National Park Service's parks in DC. It means it's run by the federal government, not the state government or the district government. And we're going to take this parallels Wisconsin Avenue. We're going to take this for about 1.5 miles back to my house. We're going to meander our way through the woods. We might run into a deer. Oh, 14th K by the old firehouse. What's that? Truck Tower 5, I think, is down there, right? Beware of bears. That's a beautiful old firehouse down there. 14th and K. Yeah. That used to be, 14th and K used to be like the red light district of Washington, D.C. And then they put in these things that you couldn't turn like left or right at certain hours. So you couldn't go in a circle looking at the scenery. So they moved up to another part of town. Ah, bugs. I remember that because so one night we went to go see a movie up here in Northwest DC. And we came back along K Street late at night because we'd been out of the movie. And we were stuck in this massive traffic jam caused by a gaggle of prostitutes walking down the street, harassing everyone. Now, this was back in my journalism days, okay? So I had a police scanner in the car, all right? This big, huge gal wearing like a tutu or something, she reaches in the car and she grabs me. And I'm just like, yeah, no, because I had the window open. I'm like, no, lady, no. She's like, come on, baby, I'll do anything you like. So I reach over and I flip on the police scanner and it immediately starts squawking out police chatter. Brr, brr, brr. She freaks out. Ah, cops in the Toyota, cops in the Toyota. And she like goes running down the street screaming to all her friends. They're undercover cops in the Toyota. Undercover cops in the Toyota. And I look over at my friend and I'm just like, we have no life. You never work for AIM, no. I used to have an AIM. AOL Instant Messenger is what I think of when I hear AIM. I work for a small independent press group. Freelance kind of thing. Whew. This is a beautiful hike. So you see this lovely path I'm on? It's actually a sewage pipe. I kid you not. There's a sewage pipe running underneath this. That's why it's so smooth. We're actually going to walk on the pipe in just a moment. But hey, American Independent Media or something like that. Wasn't that NPR's people or something? Yeah, I had a Toyota back then. Thoughts on Hong Kong. What a mess. But what do they expect? You know, what do they expect? The government is deaf. Just, the government has no ear for the street. That was something that, and that's something I can't claim that I had either. There's a dog over there in the water. It's got a collar. I'm not really tired. I'm walking uphill though. So you have to understand, I am going uphill pretty much this whole path. So I will sound quite winded at times, but there is a narrow but noticeable slant to this hike. So the jets you hear are taking off from Reagan Airport, which is in downtown Washington. It's really convenient. It's like 10 minutes from my house to get to an airport. It's not an international airport though, it's only a national, meaning that it's only domestic flights. I think it was one except Puerto Rico or something like that maybe. Ugh. Lots of roots. Comments aren't coming in because it's probably a weird signal. Rock Creek is a mile that way. Van Ness is 2 miles this way. Going this way 2 miles. Hey, thanks for the super heart. Whew. It's getting warm. It's kind of humid. There's no breeze down here. That's the problem. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty empty back here. My wife gets paranoid about me walking back here. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. So, interesting enough, I did come across some crime scene tape earlier today in another part of Georgetown. You're following me? Should I, look for you? I don't see you right yet. Thanks for the follow. Also follow Liga Carlina. She's in the scope. She's a Copenhagen scoper. And she shows you around. Actually, Liga was just in New York, showing the sights and sounds of New York with a number of other periscopers. So we got to figure out what we're going to eat for lunch today. Tough decision. We had Chinese food last night, which was okay. Nothing great. It's okay. they had pan-fried Shanghai pan-fried buns, which I was very, very excited. It's like, oh, well, I got Shanghai pan-fried buns. But they weren't done as well as they were in Hong Kong. I was very depressed when I got them. I don't think there are any women out here now. So, if the Swedish bikini team comes up, it'll be a surprise. There are a lot of deer, though. I suspect we'll see deer before the end of my hike. Usually I see deer. I would say I see deer more often on this than I saw pigs in Hong Kong. Wild boar, which was also pretty common in Hong Kong. I need to go home to Hong Kong, though. Missing it. Oh, there's a woman. She's lost. I think I got lost up here last time. I don't remember which way to go. Is that way or this way? I think I took the wrong turn. I think I should be over on that path. But we'll find out. All trails end up somewhere. I also think that woman was Russian. The Russian embassy is up the street here. So a lot of the Russian wives of the diplomats are frequently out here hiking and walking, pushing the kids around. Whew. We were in Georgetown yesterday. This is Glover Archibald Path. It runs parallel to Wisconsin Avenue up into the northwest section of DC. Though I do think I took a side path. I think I should be over on a path over there. But, you know, what's it matter? All roads lead to Rome. All roads end up somewhere. People used to ask me that in Hong Kong. Do you get lost? And the honest truth was, no. There are times I'm not exactly sure where I was, but I wasn't when I say lost. I knew if I just kept going a certain way, I'd run into something I eventually knew. That's kind of how I am right now. I'm not entirely certain I'm on the right path, but I know I'm going to run into something I eventually know. So it's okay to be lost for a few minutes, or just not know where you are, because you know where you're going. John Cleese used to do a promotional video for executives about micromanagement. And he talked about cruise missiles. And the cruise missile would ask every so often of its computer, am I on target? And the computer would say, yeah, but if you turn 5 degrees this way, your target will be easier. Then it would ask again, am I on target? Yeah, but if you go down 100 feet, it would be a little easier. Am I on target? Yeah, but if you do this, it would be a little bit easier. And he used that as an example of how to coach people. Let them continue in the path that they're going. Give them guidance to make their lives easier. But don't dictate specifically, turn left, turn right, do this, do that. Let them figure it out on their own. I think we'll dig that up off YouTube. I bet that's still up on YouTube. John Cleese had these corporate retreat video things. Hello, hello. Welcome to Washington, D.C. We're on a path. Well, eventually we're going to end up somewhere. Oh, it's a fork in the road. Another one of those decision moments kind of things. We can go that way. We can go that way. We can go over that bridge. Continue that way, or go that way. I don't think it's that way. I think it's this way, but I'm not too worried about going that way. Any votes? I think we just go straight. If in doubt, go straight. Seems to be a park up ahead. The aforementioned Swedish bikini team could be sunbathing. Nope, it's a garden. Ugh. My mornings are so boring. So that's a community garden. I've seen that before, so I know I'm kind of on the right path, I think. See, I normally walk this path the other direction. I miss Hong Kong, yes, all the time. I miss the food, I miss the energy, I miss the convenience, I miss my friends. I miss a lot of things. I don't miss the price, I don't miss the heat, I don't miss the air quality, I don't miss the cockroaches. Cockroaches in Hong Kong are huge, and they fly. They're like this big. They're like, I'm going to fly in your hair now. I don't miss the snakes, but I miss most of the other stuff. I think if it wasn't for my kids, we'd probably still be in Hong Kong. And happy-ish. The kids do miss their friends, but you know what's remarkable is kids today have so many more ways to stay in touch than when I did. When I was a kid, someone moved the other side of town, you never saw them again. Here, you know, one of my son's friends is in England, he's chatting with him in the afternoon, he chats with his friends in Hong Kong in the morning, you know, constantly in touch. I haven't seen Raven lately. I occasionally hear messages, she's alive, tweets and texts and whatnot. She's okay. You can follow her on Instagram, Raven Tao. She is a former model and TV actress, now making her way as a businesswoman in Hong Kong. No, it depends. I mean, I prefer living in Hong Kong to living in the U.S. But that said, there are plenty of negatives in Hong Kong, and plenty of negatives in the U.S. I think my life was a lot easier in Hong Kong, and it was more exciting. My life was just more interesting in Hong Kong, I think. Here, it's very boring. I like the lifestyle of Hong Kong. I like the community feel better. There are snakes here, but they're not poisonous. Black snakes, mostly garter snakes. I guess there could technically be copperheads, but they're pretty rare. No, though there are bobcats up in Maryland. I don't think there's any mountain lions in this part of the country. There are bears up in Maryland, but they don't come down here. Is that Raven? No, it wasn't Raven. You guys can follow Raven Tao on Instagram, Twitter, all those other sites. Is somebody's not safe? No, there's a major road right up here. I know exactly where I am. I'm very close to home. So we're going to cross this road, hike a little bit, cross the next road, hike a little bit, come out in my backyard. Still don't know what we're going to eat today, though. So many decisions. Did not eat breakfast. I had noodles twice last week. Pho twice. I usually don't eat breakfast before I go on these hikes, and then I eat a big hearty breakfast afterwards. I do love noodles, but it's hard to get noodles here. Urban Bay area. Hard to get the wonton noodles I like so much from Hong Kong. I like to burn off the fat for energy in the morning and then replenish with something healthy. So I do miss some of the burgers in Hong Kong. We were talking about that with the kids last night. They're like, Daddy, I miss Burger Circus. I miss Shake Shack Hong Kong. We were going through a list of all the things we missed. Sushi, noodles, pan-fried buns, Crystal Jade, Shanghainese food. We missed the French toast at the American Diner. I do know Jonathan J.K. and John Ho from Hong Kong. We have collaborated in the past. We chat occasionally on WhatsApp. I like wonton noodles, my favorite. I like udon a lot. I miss udon. There's no real good udon here. Udon are these big, flat, fluffy flour noodles. Would I go to Hong Kong? Yeah, in a minute. Let's put it this way. My chance of getting shot in a Walmart here in the U.S. is higher than my chance of getting tear gassed in Hong Kong. I'd gladly go back. But, you know, as you think about the situation in the U.S., what's the likelihood of you getting shot in a Walmart? Not very high. Same's true in Hong Kong. Drones are not allowed in D.C. Drones are allowed in Hong Kong. So there's a 15-mile no-drone zone in D.C., and you cannot fly drones within 15 miles of the White House at all. Zero, nada. Whereas in Hong Kong, you're allowed to fly drones except over the army bases, the People's Liberation Army garrisons in Hong Kong. You can't fly drones over them. I was a noodle king. Liga, when you go to Hong Kong sometime, I'm going to send you to all these noodle places and you can check them out. Have I ever visited the Philippines? No, I never got around to getting down to the Philippines. The wife's been there many times, but I never got down to the Philippines. Of course, we did have a Filipino worker in our house, so we ate a lot of Filipino food. In fact, that was one of my things I have to do this week is to go get the puto dishes from our house. We have these little puto are these rice cupcakes, rice flour cupcakes. Kids used to eat those all the time in Hong Kong, and we haven't had puto in a long time. So I have to go get those little cupcake thingies from our house and steam some rice flour cupcakes for the kids. Almost to the next road. This is where the deer are a lot. I usually see the deer around here. Oh, Jesus, what are they doing up here? Cutting the trees, it looks like. Chunk. I guess I gotta walk up the side. Oh, you just threw the trees where I was gonna walk. How you doing? Thank you. Oh, crap. Okay. Gotta admit, I'm a little annoyed because I forgot about this street. I thought this was the street by my house. Well, it's not. I got another big batch of woods to go through. Ugh. So, we are back in the woods again. Now this part of the woods, because we're so far from the campus, I don't think we're going to run into any people. Other part of the woods you run into people, but here, not so much. So on the agenda today, we'll take a shower, we're going to get something to eat for lunch. We got to pick up kid number 1 at 3:45. Kid number 2 has a Chinese lesson until 4:45. Kid number 1 has soccer at 6:45. Get home at 8:30. Have dinner, go to bed. That's my exciting life after about 3 o'clock. So from now until 3, though, I'm a free man. I can do what I want. So we'll have a good lunch. Maybe something interesting for lunch. Not my usual places. Maybe we'll do something creative. I don't know. Edit up my video blog. I still have a video blog from Copenhagen when I was with Liga, and I haven't made it to YouTube yet. Haven't loaded my Periscopes up to YouTube in a while either. Got to work on my YouTube channel. Just no time. No time to make... You know, in Hong Kong, I made a daily video blog for a while. Here, just no time. It would be really easy if I had a cameraman who just followed me. Then I wouldn't have to worry about filming the daily vlog. Just have my life all recorded. Little train. No. Oh man, this path just goes on. And as crazy as it sounds, I may even exercise later today. So yeah, we are doing our morning hike, but we may go down on the exercise bike later. We may actually go bike riding later, because I brought my mountain bike out from the house. I was going to try to see if I could put a GoPro on the mountain bike and do a live stream from a mountain bike riding through the city. I thought that might be kind of cool. Yeah, it would be cool with the drone, but drones are against the law in DC. So I was looking at getting a micro mini drone, which are these super tiny, fit in the palm of your hand kind of drones, because they may be legal under the guidelines. Ah, mosquitoes. I had a mosquito on my knuckle, getting ready to pounce. And you know what that means. Itchy hand is really not much fun. I do miss my life in Hong Kong. I do miss Hong Kong. Though the air is better here. That's something like my wife really comments about a lot. The air in Hong Kong is kind of stagnant. You know, it just sort of hangs over there. You know, today, at this point, I don't know what I've done so far. Let's take a look. So we've walked 16,400 steps so far today. 16,000 steps today so far. We're going to easily hit 20 because I got to pick up the kids. Now in Hong Kong I would do 30,000 steps a day easily. In the US I'm happy if I can get, I'm like 10,000 is a bare minimum, and then if I can get to 20 I'm happy. So today will be a happy day for walking. Oh, here's a dog coming. Hey. Hello. Hi. Oh. Looks like a pillow exploded here. Alright, we're almost up to Massachusetts Avenue, which is just behind my house. For reasons that don't make sense, I'm actually walking. What the heck is that? Control point. Actually, my son used to play soccer with his son. But son switched teams. I need to be up there. I don't know why this path keeps walking me this way. Still want to see those deer. Some butterflies. Maybe I should just leave you with the butterflies. So guys, I'll tell you what, I'm going to sign off because we're about the end of the path right now. Leave you with these little butterflies. Thanks all for watching. We'll catch you later today when we go to lunch.